Instead of saying that no, I'm working on something else, you can say that I'm X person, X senior has given me XYZ work. I think that it will take 3 more hours of my time, and I want to pick up your work after that. Does that work for you?
The associates are also taking a break in the evening. What you can do is like have a biscuit packet around. You can offer it as a gesture to them. Like that just shows that like you are an amiable person. You are thinking about other people. It's a very small gesture, but that would go a long. Yeah.
And when you go back to your senior, instead of just saying that I didn't find anything, tell them that I have looked at all of my online sources, which comprises of XYZ. These are the keywords that I used. And I also went to this team and this person and this senior from that team who said XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, beyond that also, I have some solutions, some places that I can look at. But I think these would be too far-fetched. But you let me know how important your research is and whether it is reasonable for me to look at these sources. I'm more than willing to look.
We are excited to welcome Mr. Satvik Khatri for an exciting session on law school and the law firm recruitment process. Satvik is currently working at Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, commonly known as CAM in law firm circles, under the general corporate team in Bangalore. A graduate of NLSIU Bangalore, India's best law school, he brings an expertise of navigating law firm recruitment processes through college as well as working on the best deals and transactions across India. We have invited him to share tips and practical insights regarding the law firm recruitment process as well as thriving in a corporate law firm career. So yeah, Satvik, what made you decide to opt for corporate law in the first place? Could you delve a bit deep into that?
Sure. So there was no one point or one instance or one course that helped me that sort of nudged me in that direction.
Okay.
It was more a combination of several things. For example, starting with my law school courses, I think that I related more, reasoned more in my corporate law courses, in my contract law courses, in competition law, IPC, etc. And then that built on during my internships. I felt that I was able to contribute more in my corporate law internships as opposed to my litigation internships. So that is something that helped me take that decision.
Yeah, certainly. Like I think internships and the courses during college, they may help you make up your mind. And that's definitely
Then,
very useful in deciding your career. And more than that, like I feel a lot of people make their decisions based on watching TV shows like Suits. So, like, would you want to comment anything on that, or you would not want to go into it at all?
yeah, no, I feel suits is definitely not something that should be any factor in your decision because that is just a weird combination of litigation, corporate, everything. It's a weird khichdi.
Yeah.
So maybe not watch suits and maybe do 2, 3 internships before you actually take that call and when you actually know how far apart this world is from suits.
Coming to the second question that a lot of students would have. So, when you got your first job right after law school, was that through the day zero that you had in college, or was that a pre-placement offer that you received?
I actually got a job from day zero. It was an online day zero for me.
Oh, the
Yeah.
COVID times. So, what was your day zero experience like? And if you could provide anything, what should a person preparing for day zero regularly be reading or be in touch with so that they are well prepared for the day zero?
See, there's no one tree of knowledge that I can suggest that you can sort of refer to win your day zero.
Yeah.
Uh, what I will say is that you need to be very thorough with your CV. You should know it inside out, and by that I don't just mean the text of your CV, but also the deeper concepts that you've put into your CV. One advice will be that don't don't think that if I put everything under the sun in my CV, that will help me land a job. That will definitely backfire because then you will be
100%.
asked
I'm
questions
laughing
about it. If
because I can
something
fully relate to it. Yeah.
right, if something is there in your CV and you're not able to answer it, then that's a red flag for any employer, any interviewer. The set of questions that you will be asked will be of two types. The technical questions, right? The technical questions will one refer to the the practice area that you've applied to. So if corporate law is your first preference, basics of corporate law will be asked. If litigation disputes is your first reference, then maybe questions relating to the Arbitration Act, etc., will be asked. Then things that are there in your CV, legal questions from your courses around that will be asked. Then there will be HR questions, and while those questions sound a lot like bullshit, they're actually not bullshit. They serve a very, very deeper and a very important purpose in the way that those questions try to judge the kind of person you are. And if you're well prepared with those questions, they go a long way. There's this thing called vibe, right? It's your thinking process comes out well from the HR questions, because technical questions you might rectify and vomit things out, but HR questions will be slightly more complex. You can't just rectify that.
Yeah, 100%, because at the end of the day, like all of us are working with people. So what kind of a person you are, how you are in interacting, following orders, like following the instructions of superiors, all those things definitely go a long way in telling how you would be as a subordinate.
Coming to how my experience was in my day zero, like I said, it was an online day zero, so not half as stressful or half as anxiety inducing as a physical day zero could be, not half as tough.
Yeah.
I was around my support system, and so was everybody else in my batch, so that sort of
That's
helped.
great.
But I got the opportunity to help my firm recently for campus placements at NLS.
Okay.
And that really showed the kind of work goes into a day zero. In a physical day zero, you will see the RCC running around, you will see a lot of scheduling happening, you will see interviews happening till 12 in the night. One thing that I would say is that in a physical day zero, of course, there's more pressure, there's more, because you're sitting in front of the partner, so you sort of difficult to just sit there.
Yeah.
It makes you really nervous. One thing that I would say is that once you enter that room, leave everything aside. Don't think about your CV. Don't think about the shortcomings of your CV, because all of us have that in our mind that, okay, I don't have the highest grades, I don't have the highest rank, etc.
Yeah.
Leave that aside. If you're in that room, if you've been shortlisted through the GD, through the CV filter, etc., then you are being given a fair chance to show the interviewers that you can add value to their organization, and go with that mindset. Go with that confidence. I think that is very important. Once you're in that room, then forget everything else. Then you deserve the job. It's just a matter of wooing the interviewers.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. But regarding this differentiation between, in case you have online interviews versus a physical interview, so like definitely what Satvik is saying, 100% like your anxiety levels, stress levels would be going through the roof in a physical interview. One very good practical investment I would recommend everybody who is probably a bit like me is sweat pads, because anyone who is very anxious, they can end up having their whole shirt go away, like they can have some wardrobe issues. So I would recommend getting a pair of sweat pads so that you do not have that anxiety translate into your appearance. And I think that is definitely very useful. Moving on to the third question that we had, that is regarding in law school, a lot of us end up spending our times going to different places, and sometimes we end up partying a bit too much for our own liking. So, what would you like if you were to go back in your law school journey? What would be some things that you would recommend that Satvik studying in LLS at that time that to study or you wish you would have done at that time, which you probably didn't?
Partying is definitely something I don't regret, and I strongly recommend everybody to do it. But, but like I said again, there's no one fountain of knowledge. There's no one tree of knowledge which you can read. One source that I really miss reading. But from a general awareness perspective, there are a few things that I would like to uh, tell our listeners to pay slightly more attention at. One is to always be aware of what's going on in the economy. Very good and very easy way to do that is just read your dailies, right? Your Economic Times, your Live Mint. See, I think that is something which is very important, because the kind of stuff that you're reading changes from your CLAT preparation and your law school life. When you're preparing for CLAT, your coaching mentors will make you read the Hindu or such newspapers very thoroughly, especially the editorial sections, your G20 meets, all of that.
Yeah.
While that is important, that might not be directly relevant to, and you might very well be interested in that. So I'm not saying stop doing that. But in addition to that, also start reading things like Economic Times, Live Mint, because I think those will give you a slightly better understanding of what the economy looks like as opposed to what the nation looks like. There's a slight difference. And that I'm saying from especially from a corporate side of things perspective, because ultimately in a corporate field, your clients will be corporates, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to understand the kind of stuff that's going on, the kind of uh, the kind of agreements these guys are executing. What are their interests? What do they define growth as? Things like that. And I think a very good mode of getting that perspective is to read financial newspapers. That helped me. That is one. Then, like I said before, take your contract law and take your company's law courses very seriously. And I can't focus on that enough. I can't stress on that enough. Maybe save those notes. They will definitely come in handy at a later point in time in your corporate life.
All of us were scrambling for notes, like searching for semester
Yeah.
folders, trying to find them. I couldn't relate with that.
And we see those messages on our WhatsApp groups also, right? Doesn't even have contract loan notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One more thing that could help is you can just from a curiosity point of view, you can navigate through the MCA ebook, the MCA portal, see how that works. This thing can really help at your internships. Be very comfortable with legal research platforms like Manupatra, SCC, Iron Online, LexisNexis. Being thorough with these really helps in your internships. Where you will be asked to do a lot of research, you won't directly be asked to do drafting, obviously. So having a good grasp on these platforms really sets you off.
So I fully agree with whatever you said, and they will definitely be extremely useful for anyone who's preparing. But I'll be a bit honest here, and I would ask from those students' perspective who are a bit like me and who found reading the newspaper and directly going to the MCA website in my first, second, third semester a bit tedious, because in the first place, I could not understand those concepts as well. So, like, is there an easier starting place that you have personally come across or that you read in your law school journey, which made things easier for you to transition into reading the newspapers, etc.?
See, this is not something that I did because the technology was not available. But something that I can think of right now is just text on ChatGPT, right? What are the top 10 events that happened in the last week? You can start from there. If you don't understand something, then ask follow-up questions from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Read the newspaper, take a screenshot, upload the screenshot on ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to explain it to you.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very good way to do things, understanding yourself. I think there's no better way to learn.
So a good ChatGPT prompt for this, like for those of you who do not know, would be Eli 5. So like Eli 5 basically means explain like I am 5 years old. So if you input that into ChatGPT, it automatically understands. It boils down like very tough, complex topics also into much easier things. So what Satvik has recommended would definitely be of huge help to you. So you can definitely note this one down. Yeah, 100%. All these materials are very useful in understanding different current issues. But are there any other like static sources like books that you would recommend, any particular book that you would want to recommend to students that they should read before entering corporate law or in general practicing law?
See, curricular books, I think your law school life will give you ample ammo for books in the curriculum.
Yeah.
If you want to generally read nonfiction in this sphere, I do have a few recommendations. One is Barbarians at the Gate. It's a wonderful book. Could be slightly right, exactly. Could be slightly complicated for a third, fourth year student, but as you read more about corporate law, I think it becomes more and more interesting.
And I think there's a movie based on that as well, right? It's available
there is
on YouTube.
Right.
So you can go.
Correct.
Very good. I would 100% stand by that recommendation. You should definitely check it out. Yeah. Second one.
Then there is Smartest Guys in the Room. That is also a very good book. Then there's this book called When Genius Fail.
Okay, so the smartest guy in the room. So, like, could you give a bit context as to like what is there in the book, or like anything like that? Like a short summary would also do.
It's on the scheme of barbarians, like the broader schemes of corporate greed, etc., that barbarians have
Okay.
tries to delve upon. It's mostly those schemes only, but different companies, and it's youngsters starting a company and goes from there. The third book is When Genius Fail. That is also on similar lines.
Okay. So are these books based the like number two, number three books? Are they
All are non-fiction based on real.
okay? So are there like these companies still in function, or have they wound up their operations?
Wound up.
Okay. Okay.
Except for RJ and Abyssco, part of that is still alive.
Like RJ Nabisco is actually the company which started the manufacturing of Oreos. They were the owners of Oreos, which they then sold to Mondelez, which now owns Cadbury. So all these are the preparatory stages where you can prepare for internships, corporate law life. But right before an internship, like what are the like hard skills or soft skills that you would recommend a student have to perform well at that internship and probably get a conversion to a PPO?
See, there are no hard skills. Of course, your basic understanding of corporate law, etc. That is obviously important. But at an internship stage, I think soft skills is what is more important.
Yeah.
One is diligence, and by diligence, I don't mean due diligence. It's the intern being diligent. Then there's availability, and I don't mean that you have to be available at odd hours or you have always need to be near your phone on the weekends. But if you've been given a heads up and if you know that something is going on and might come on the weekend, then you have to make time for it. Mostly in most internships, associates try not to disturb the interns at odd hours or during the weekends. But if something comes up, then that might give you some brownie points. Then there's proactiveness, right? You have to be very proactive. You have to be out there because if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Everybody will forget about you.
Yeah.
You have to keep going to the associate pool. You have to keep going to the bullpen. 9 out of 10 times they will sit you down at a weird corner of the office, but you will have to ensure that you get off your seat, you go to their side of the office, you socialize a bit with them, and it's the squeaky wheels that get the grease, right? You have to squeak a bit to make your appearance felt. But also not overdo it. You should not come off as desperate or something. That goes without saying.
Yeah, 100%. So like one small recommendation I would have as a gesture, like you can bring like a small, like if the associates are also taking a break in the evening, what you can do is like have a biscuit packet around. You can offer it as a gesture to them. Like that just shows that like you are an amiable person, you are thinking about other people. It's a very small gesture, but that would go a long.
When I was going for my first corporate internship, one of my seniors specifically told me, and I'm quoting it, he said that your seniors in the internship will go for smoke breaks. Yeah. If you don't smoke, just bloody buy a kurkure ka packet and eat along with them, but make it a point that you go down with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very practical advice. Like even if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. No one will force you to, but you can just accompany them, talk to them about other things because that's your interaction time. I would 100% recommend that as well. So like in your experience, whatever interns that have worked under you, so what has worked for certain interns and what hasn't? Or like, so I'll put it other way, like what has made certain interns stand out from others? Like what are those differentiating factors that make you like go about a particular intern?
See, there's two parts of proving yourself in an internship. One is the 4 weeks or 5 weeks that goes into the internship. And second is the 1 hour presentation, right? 50-50 weightage, but time-wise, both require very different efforts.
Yeah.
The first 4 weeks, I would say that it binds to our previous to the previous question, right? with respect to you being diligent, you being aware, you being uh, available, proactive, etc. One aspect which I will add to it is that you have to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
What I and by that I don't mean to say that a deal is stuck and you as an intern are expected to suggest a way out of it. What I mean, what I mean is that the simple things you can do, you should do. For example, a very simple example is that, for example, say you've been given a task at 10 in the morning, which takes 2 hours or 3 hours.
Hmm.
Another senior approaches you at 11 in the morning and says, I have some work for you. Uh, do you have bandwidth? Instead of saying that, no, I'm working on something else, you can say that I'm X person, X senior has given me XYZ work. I think that it will take 3 more hours of my time. And I want to pick up your work after that. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Now, here you haven't left the solution to them. You are offering them a solution that, listen, I do want to work on your matter, but these are the facts that are beyond my control because I can't piss off that senior.
Yeah.
Another example could be, for example, you've been given a research proposition and you can't find anything on it, and you've exhausted all of your online sources because online sources is what we learn, right, in law school to research. But in a corporate law firm, you will have other lawyers also that you can speak to who have much more experience than you have. It is very much possible that someone would have worked on it already. So once you've ticked on that box, once you've uh, exhausted all of your online sources, you can go to other teams also and speak to them.
Yeah.
And when you go back to your senior, instead of just saying that I didn't find anything, tell them that I have looked at all of my online sources, which comprises of XYZ. These are the keywords that I used. And I also went to this team and this person and this senior from that team who said XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, beyond that, also, I have some solutions, some places that I can look at. But I think these could be too far fetched. But you let me know how important your research is and whether it is reasonable for me to look at these sources. I'm more than willing to look at it. So I
That is
think that is the sort of modus operandi that you need to take. You have to go on the aggressive and be proactive. That second part is the presentation. The
before going
biggest
to the
blunder that I've
presentation topic, I would just like to quickly summarize the 2 points. Very, very important because these 2 points are very crucial for any intern to understand. Number one was the point that you mentioned that when you are being delegated some work, instead of outrightly rejecting it, saying I'm working on something, you can, like, the way you say no is very important, which Satvik has perfectly captured. The second point is extremely crucial because what you seem to what you appear to the associates is as crucial as what you have done. So you need to show to the associates that you've looked through these keywords that Satvik mentioned, and then you have not been able to find it, instead of directly going and saying that you have not found it. So these two distinctions are very crucial for making or breaking your case. Yes, now let's move to the presentation, Satvik. You were saying something.
right. The biggest mistake that I've seen people. So how does a presentation work? You have to decide a topic for yourself. Some places give you a topic, but most places make you decide. Sorry. Then you have to get that topic approved by your seniors, your partners. That could take some to and fro, some back and forth. Then you finally work on a presentation, and you will be given tasks during your internship as well. You'll have to manage your presentation along with that. A lot of people do start this process very late. At the third week, they'll realize, okay, my presentation is coming up. I need to decide the topic, etc. And then they don't have enough time to be thorough with the presentation. And presentation is something that the partners will grill you on because they'll most likely uh, give you something that they're experts on. So you have to start that process really early. I would suggest in your first 3-4 days, get a sense of how the presentation process exactly works. Get a sense of who will approve my topic and what the structure will be. Will I only be speaking? Is a PPT required? What if there's anything else which is required? And then start from the second week itself.
Yeah.
You should give a presentation ample amount of time, ample amount of thoroughness has to go into it. If possible, run your points past a senior. If you have run it past them, make sure that you have addressed their comments. If you've run it past them and not addressed their comments, then that looks bad. So presentation also has to be tightly knit, is the point.
Absolutely correct. And again, this will tie into what Satvik was mentioning earlier also, that when you are giving your presentation, selecting your presentation topics, if you are aware of what's been happening in the sector, what are some new laws, regulations that have come out, if you're looked at the MCA website that he mentioned, all those things will help you prepare that topic. So a lot of people think that these things are not useful, but when you are selecting topics, talking to other people, they will come out to be very useful.
In addition to that, not just latest legal developments, but your topic could very well be something that the team is generally interested on and the team might want to know more about, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, recently, beneficial owner, there was a lot of activism by the ROC related to beneficial ownership and Ben filings. Not a lot of people had dealt with that in detail before all of these cases started coming up. The Lincoln case is the most famous one. While the partners will be experts on it most likely, they would want their associates also to know more about it. So these things could also be very factual and informative and not have a thesis the way a law school topic has a thesis, law school project has a thesis.
Okay, that's absolutely valid, Satvik. Now, coming to the last question for the day, we won't hold you any longer, which is before entering a law firm, a lot of students, after they have received their offers at the end of the fourth year or in the middle or in the middle of the fourth year, they end up partying, chilling. That's 100% what, as you said, you should do, you have deserved it, etc. But what are some other skills that you need to develop or you need to have before entering a law firm that you will require for performing your job better?
See, once you enter a law firm, it might be slightly overwhelming for you. You will be baptized by fire. You will be thrown in the deep end.
Yeah.
But you need to always remember that you will, as a fresher, you will not be expected to know each and everything under the sun, right? You will be expected to know the basics, concept, how transactions work, how what the intent behind each document is, basic legal concepts, indemnity, reps and warranties, CPs, these basic things you will be expected to know.
Yeah.
One thing which you'll be expected to do is to learn on the job, right? You will be expected to build the plane as you fly it. And you should be willing to speak up with others, seek help, and generally try to learn things as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Learning on the job, I think, is one of the most important skills that a fresher should.
100%. I think that very rightly sums all the skills required, because I think, as you correctly said, learning on the job, which is something a lot of firms, when they came for day zero, also they focused on. That is one thing that they require. That are you able to adapt to that ecosystem, to their requirements or not? I think that if you have that skill, you can adjust in any law firm and any team. As I 100% agree with that. So thank you so much, Satvik, for sparing your time and sharing your valuable insights and perspective about your career and what decisions you took and what were the reasons behind that. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights with the students. I think a lot of them would benefit from this. Thank you so much again. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for inviting. See you.